Before starting, I want to ask all of you to think about something, right? All of you are like uh, 18, going on 18 years old, and or might be older. And all of you have given so many exams throughout your lives, right? And all of you have like these answer sheets and these question papers and these results that you might want to or not share with other people, right? That aspect of your education or the marks or the results of your um, hard work are your personal details, and you should have the choice to either share it or not, or think about another thing. So many of you might be dating other people, or you might not be. You might be having best friends or like normal friends that you talk to, and the conversations that you have with them or the details that you share with them, that is your personal life. That is not something that you would want to publicize. And when I mean publicize, I mean put it on a forum or put it on a newspaper or a Facebook page or anywhere where anybody, कोई भी Tom, Dick, and Harry can look at those things or look at the details of your personality, your identity, or the relationship that you share with your friends or the people that you're dating. And that is the area this case also covers. It covers the area of personal decisions, personal identities that all of us have and all of us share with other people, and it tells us whether we can mandatorily publicize those things under any given act or not, right? So this is the premise. Now whenever we talk about another thing, now whenever we talk about law, it is very important to remember that law is our lives. So law tells you stories. Sure, there are acts, there is the constitution, and it all seems very formal and very technical, but what it really shows you or what it really talks about is your stories. Like, what do you do with your finances, or what do you do with your private life, or how do you manage to divide the property that you own. These are the things that we talk about in our daily lives. These are the things that matter to you, and that's why whenever you're reading a case, it is way more interesting if you understand how this case would affect you. It makes it easier to remember, it makes it easier to talk about it. अगर कोई ये 100 पेज का केस पढ़ के बोलेगा आपको कि आप बता दो किसी भी नॉन लॉ पर्सन को, which would eventually be your job as a lawyer. You would have to deal with clients, or you would have to deal with companies which know nothing about law, but you would have to tell them how this is significant to them. If you take this practice in the study of law as a general rule, it will help you eventually. So, coming back to the case, it talks about what is private and what should be publicized, especially in the case of a marriage under the Special Marriage Act of 1954, right? So this is a case from 2021, January 2021, from the Forum of Allahabad High Court. Now, Allahabad High Court has a history of giving judgments which are कटिंग एज, मतलब और कोई कोर्ट अभी तक कुछ बताया ही नहीं होगा इसके ऊपर, but they have given a judgment about this. This case is also one of the first judgments which talks about a very controversial topic or very controversial section of Special Marriage Act, which has been which has been in the news for a while now, for a couple of years, 2 years exactly, but no high court had pronounced a judgment on it before this. So once this high court pronounced the judgment, this has become precedent for all the other lower courts and also for the other high courts of the state to consider this judgment while giving their own decrees on the matter that this case has talked about. Now it will not become precedent for all high courts compulsorily unless and until Supreme Court gives a judgment on it, which it hasn't yet. But there has already been a petition filed on the same topic, and we will talk about it once we cover this case. So coming to the case, the name of the case is the most important thing because they might ask you the name of the case. So the name of the case is Srimati Safia Sultana through her husband Abhishek Kumar Pandey versus State of UP through the Secretary of Home Department. It is a habeas corpus writ petition. Now, habeas corpus, you might have studied about it already. I'll just quickly say what it means. It means bring the body. So the court orders the police or other institutions to bring the body or bring the person which is in contention here. Here in this case, it is the petitioner herself, Safia Sultana. It was a single judge bench, Justice Vivek Chaudhary, and it was delivered again in January 2021. Okay. These are the basics of what this case is, like absolute, truly basic. So before we go into the facts and the eventual judgment, we'll talk about the context. So since 2014, a lot of cases have come under different high courts and the Supreme Court about interference in marriage, especially interference in intercaste marriages. Now, there are marriages of two nature in India which are very popular and are governed by laws, which are religious marriages and civil marriages. Religious marriages are covered under particular religious laws like Hindu Marriage Act या Muslim Marriage Act का जो अलग-अलग religious practices है, or Parsi Act or other acts. And the civil marriages are all governed under Special Marriage Act, which is what we are going to discuss today. We will not discuss Religious Marriage Act today. I'm sorry, Religious Marriage Acts, which are many because there are many religions in India and they are governed by different acts and different customs. The religious marriages are not all governed by specific acts. Some of them are governed by customs and there aren't any acts to talk about them. But today we will only talk about civil marriages in India. So since 2014, a lot of cases have been coming up where khap panchayats or these institutions which are social in nature and not institutions of state are giving a lot of justice to people. They are saying that this marriage is illegal and they break it up and they send the daughter back to her father and the daughter is not allowed to live with her husband. And the court over the years, and it has been 5 years now, has been given a lot of decrees saying that every person who is a major, that is 18 years or above, and has agreed to marry by their own consent and free will cannot be detained by any society or any parents if they want to go live with that person or they want to go perform all the marital rites with them. Right. Then in 2017, a case, which is a very famous case now, Puttaswamy versus Union of India, declared that privacy is a fundamental right. Now, when cases like Puttaswamy is declared, for example, when Keshav Nanda was declared, through years, these cases have a tendency of influencing laws which they are not directly related to. So this is 2021. I'm sure you've seen in 2018 also, or in 2017 itself, and we will deal with some of the cases where this one law declared under this one case has affected many other areas of law, and it will continue to do so for the coming couple of years for many, many years. Just like Keshav Nanda still continues to affect our laws today, affect the judgments that are given in the courts today. Now, after 2017, in 18, 19, and 20, a lot of cases have been filed saying that Section 4, 5, 6, 7 of the Special Marriage Act has some problems. Now, what these problems are and why they are problematic, we will find out through the judgment of this case. Now, whenever you read judgments like this one, a very fun thing I find is that they give you a revision of all the cases that has happened in the past. तो प्राइवेसी के ऊपर दे विल गिव यू कि अच्छा 1990 में ऐसा हुआ था, ऐसा हुआ था, ऐसा हुआ था, and then now we are saying none of that is true and this is what is right. So this is also one of the cases which revises कि अच्छा खप पंचायत cases what were they, or how the privacy law has been developed. So it's a very well drafted judgment because of the fact that it makes you revise all the backdrop of why this judgment today is happening, right? So this is the premise. Abhi tak hum start bhi nahi case, but this is the story. This is the story of this case, right? So one of the funniest things of this case is that first paragraph mein they give you the facts कि एक लड़की थी साफिया, उसने शादी कर ली अशोक पांडे से. She converted to Hinduism and got married under a religious marriage. She didn't go to Special Marriage Act, which is very, it sounds very funny. Then why are we reading about Special Marriage Act in this? So the fact is that she converted to Hinduism and got married under Hindu Marriage Act. But her father was like, "You don't know what you're doing. I will not let you go live with your husband." So she filed a case through her husband. That is why, because she was so detained. That is why she is called the detinue in this case. Detinue means the person who has been detained or the person who has been jailed. So this term also might be asked, or it is an important term in law, right? So she was detained by her father, and her husband, her legal husband, filed this case. And the court was like, "What is happening? Just let her go to her husband's house because she's a major and she converted to Hinduism by her own free will." And she is in this court, she's saying that, "हाँ मेरे पापा मुझे जबरदस्ती घर पे रखे." And her father was like, "Okay, fine." Then she went to her house, the husband's house. And then that's the end of the facts of this case. The first paragraph only ends. And then the court says, ki, "But there are a lot of issues that we have to consider." And this only is a twist in the case. That the court is saying, कि ये case तो ठीक है, इसको we figured it out. But through this case and through the testimony of the people that came into this case, the court said that there is a gap in law that we find the need to explore through the rest of the case. That's why even though the judgment is given in the first paragraph, the case ka decree is 50 pages long. And that is why. So the court found a gap where it saw the need to, acha, theek hai, there are problems. That's why these people have not gotten married under a Special Marriage Act. But what those problems are and how to solve them, the court will tell us through the rest of the decree. So then the court asked them, "Why didn't you marry under the Special Marriage Act?" And the couple said that the Special Marriage Act का section 4, 5, 6, 7 मिला के पढ़ने से, it tells you that if you want to get married, you have to fulfill some conditions, and then you have to give your personal details to the marriage officer. Marriage officer is an officer created under the Special Marriage Act who will finally give the approval that these people have been married. So these sections tell you that the personal details, these personal details include name, address, and any ID card. The personal details have to be publicized by the special marriage officer for the fact that कि किसी को अगर कोई objection है तो आके special marriage officer को बताए. So due to the fact that this act is really old, you'll see in the name also, it's Special Marriage Act 1954, and it was adopted by the act which was in existence before independence. So the conditions of marriage resemble a little bit to the Judeo-Christian customs. Ki church mein, the priest will say, "If anybody has an objection, speak now or forever hold your peace." So वो थोड़ा सा adopt करके इसमें डाला हुआ है कि if two people want to get married, they will give the details and the officer will publicize them in his office. And if somebody sees that on the wall or जहाँ भी publicize हुआ है, and they have an objection, they can go tell the officer. Then the officer has to conduct an inquiry whether their objection is true or not. And all of these are situated under time brackets. So the publicized information stays up for 30 days. And then if somebody gives an objection, the officer has to conduct the investigation in 30 days. And ऐसे करके 2-3 महीने 4-5 महीने बहुत टाइम खिंच जाता है ये चीज. The reality of the matter is that it creates a really big hurdle to get married under act, which is supposed to make it very easy for you to get married, especially if you don't want to fall into the traps that are created under the Religious Marriage Act. So if you don't want to convert to the person's religion that you want to marry, if you only want to do a legal marriage, you can get married under this act. But funnily enough, people want to avoid this publication aspect of Special Marriage Act, and they instead get religiously converted to get married under the religious marriage acts, जैसे Hindu Marriage Act या फिर other marriage acts, so that they don't have to publicize their details. क्योंकि वो सब acts में they haven't given a condition that you have to publish your personal identity details to the public for इतना दिन, and कोई objection नहीं आएगा तो then only you can get married. None of those details are there in the religious marriages. So this is the fact of the matter. So the case was filed, and the court said to bring the girl. They said, "Okay, fine, there is no problem. The girl will go live with her husband." Then the court went on to talk about what are the problems in this act that is making people not use this act to get married, especially the intercaste marriages or interreligion marriages. So two aspects are dealt in this case. एक तो है कि साफिया का प्रॉब्लम क्या है उसके बारे में. So that is the crux of the matter, right? कि whether section 4, 5, 6 of the Special Marriage Act जिसमें publication है that is mandatory or directory in nature, whether it can be avoided कि अच्छा ठीक है नहीं करेंगे publicize. And the second point is whether this publication aspect is correlated to other law aspects जैसे कि liberty, equality and privacy or not, right? So these two aspects, whenever they are talked about in a case, they are categorized as ratio decidendi and obiter dicta. Ratio decidendi is what the reason is for the facts of this case that this court has given its judgment on, and obiter dicta is not exactly related to the case but the comments of the court on the matters which are connected to this subject of or this area of law. So the first paragraph of the case where the court says ki acha Safia who has brought the case, she will go live with her husband, that is the ratio decidendi. And the rest of the case where we talk about privacy and how it is related and how it has developed, all of that will come under obiter dicta, right? So the ratio was that she will go live with her husband, and then the obiter is what the case talks about or clarifies the law in, like the Special Marriage Act. Why is it changing, or why the court is saying that this particular bit of the Special Marriage Act we are declaring it to have changed, which is not related to the facts of the case but it is still binding. So moving on, so let's explore like ye sections which are important in this marriage act, which the court said that they have to be interpreted differently. So in this case there is no reading, there is no what is it called, there is no omitting of the law, there is no amendment that the court has made. The court is only saying that when you read the law we will read it differently. So there is a shift in the interpretation of the Special Marriage Act. There is no repealing of the Special Marriage Act in this case, right? So we already spoke about this ki whenever two people want to get married, there is no reference of their religion or anything in the Special Marriage Act. Section 4, which gives you the conditions you have to fulfill to get married in this under this act, talks about simply ki two people who want to get married will or can be married if they give their consent, if they are not already married, or they are above 21 years for a man and 18 years old for a woman, and if they give informed consent, if they don't have any mental disorders and not declared clinically insane or do not fall under any degrees of prohibited relationships, they can get married. If they, and then the procedure is that they have to give their information to the marriage officer. Marriage officer will put it on his wall or on the wall of his office where it will be public for 30 days. If there are no objections, then the marriage officer will declare it a legal marriage. If there are any objections, he will go investigate and then declare it a marriage which is official, or maybe not declare it a marriage which is official, give that order. Then the couple can appeal against it in a high court or a district court. ऐसे करके, this is the procedure which is under question. And again, there is an absence of any religious rights. There are no rights. You just have to apply and the marriage officer will investigate and say, yes, okay, you can get married. And then you are married. It is secular in nature. Never does it ever talk about the religion of the two people who are wanting to get married. It is performed by an officer of the government. There is no pandit. There are no other personalities who will declare it a valid marriage. The marriage officer is the final authority who will declare it a marriage. Right? Right. Okay. So we've covered this. This is what the court will declare on eventually when we go through this. But you'll remember that Safia, who brought this case, got married under a religious marriage act. So she did not employ any of these options Because they said that these options are very problematic. So a lot of people that we also know, other couples, have decided that it is better to convert and get married. It makes it easier rather than going through this act, which has been put into place to make intercaste, interreligious marriages easier than going for conversion and all of those things. So the procedure of this act is making the intent or the point of the act frustrated. That is the reality of the society that the court saw, and that is why they said, okay, even though the facts do not dictate, this is a matter we have to explore under this case, right? Then another thing that we have already talked about is the other type of marriage in India, which is religious marriage, right? Then the court goes into the history of Special Marriage Act in India, then the cases which are relevant to this particular portion of Special Marriage Act in India, and finally what the correlation between this case and marriages in general is in India. So the history is that the bill was introduced by Sir Henry Maine, which is a famous figure in law. He was a sociologist. He said that the point of this act itself is to make the intercaste marriages in India easier, because as it is, they are very difficult to convene. So the first time this act was made was in 1872. It was still called the Special Marriage Act. The same act was reinstated after the independence, and the act came into being in 1954 with some amendments. And while it was coming into being also, they said that marriage is a very dynamic topic, and eventually when this act comes into play, it will have to be tweaked by the legislature to keep up with the changes of the society, which is a trend in law and its interpretation that will come up again and again. They will say that society is changing, whether we should change or not. Why they are saying whether we should? Society is changing, whether we should change or not. Why they are saying whether we should change or not is because the society, although may be changing, it might be changing for the worse, and the law will not be ready to convert the law into a worse society. So the law has to objectively see that a society, although is changing, whether it's changing for the best and thus the law should be changed, or whether it's changing for the worse and thus the law which is already in place should not be changed. Instead, it should be applied so that the worst changes are corrected, right? So even while the act was being enacted, they said that marriage is a very dynamic substance, so you'll have to be ready for any changes that might come later on. But it was enacted in 1954, right? Then the court said that even after its enactment, there have been many law commission reports which have said that the Marriage Act already has been enacted, it needs to undergo some change. So the first time this was reported was in Law Commission Report 59th Law Commission Report, where they only said that the Marriage Act needs to be ready to get changed. Then in the 212th report, which was in 2008, although I haven't written it here, and it was titled Laws of Civil Marriage in India, a proposal to resolve certain conflict. Here in 2008, or was it 2004? Let me just check. So here also the law commissioners, the report that they said, the report that they released said that these sections, which is section 4, 5, 6 and 7, these sections already, although the publication aspect says that it's mandatory to publicize, we think that for the benefit of the people who are choosing to get married under this act, it should be directory. What does directory mean? That it should be at the behest, or it should be under the control of the marriage officer to see whether the act should be changed, the publication should be made or not. if it's a very controversial relation or something like that, or if he says that there are no problems on the face of the people who have brought the application, then there is no need for publication, because there would not be any objections, and what is the point of publication? So that is the suggestion that 212th report made, that the elements or the sections which say that the publication of the personal details of the people who are trying to get married under this act should be publicized, should be made directory. It shouldn't be mandatory कि compulsorily करना ही पड़ेगा, right? But the suggestions of the report law report were not accepted in the houses, legislature houses. Okay, so the 59th report came in 1974, and the 212th report came in 2008. And they said this कि वो mandatory nature change करना पड़ेगा. Then again in the 242nd report, which came in 2012, which was titled as Prevention of Interference with the Freedom of Matrimonial Alliances in the Name of Honor and Tradition. Again, the Law Commission reports are very critical. Whenever you research on any aspect, they will see that the Law Commission had already found that there were problems in the particular matter. And this report also said the same thing. It said that the procedure, which is under section 4567, should be simplified. They didn't say कि it should be made directory. They said that the time gap, that is the 30-day time gap, जितने दिन उनको publicize करके रखना है, it should be made shorter, or it should be removed entirely. And also other elements were said to have been amended under the act, because they said that even though this act has been put into place to make the marriage of people who would rather not go the religious marriage route easier, it is not doing so. There are different problems which are arriving because of this particular small procedural thing कि publicize करो. Because anybody who wants to interfere, even if there is not a real cause, can delay the matter, or they can create hurdles for the couple to get married who would want to get married in public, because the reality of India is very difficult to navigate, especially when you're trying to do an intercaste or interreligious marriage, which we already know, and the times have already told us that it has gotten worse with the progression of ages. Like 2008 se abhi tak, it has probably gotten even more difficult to get married if you're marrying to a person of another religion. And this act is supposed to help you. It is supposed to make it easier, but it is making it more difficult, because it is giving the people who might not even personally have a problem with you a chance to make it more difficult for you to get married. And again, we spoke about this in the beginning of the class. There are certain aspects of your life, and in the Puttaswamy case also, we will talk about this, which you want to keep private. Like the person I am marrying, or the person I want to date, or the person I want to have for companionship, or my personal details like my education or my sexual orientation. These are areas of my life which have nothing to do with the public. If I decide to identify myself as a table, it is not going to harm anybody else. It is my own choice. It is probably going to make life difficult for me only and not do any harm to you. And that is why, as long as these personal identifiers are not harming any other person, they are protected. Nobody can interfere with it, as long as I am a major and I have free will in deciding to identify as a table, right? So the aspect of marriage is one certain area of your life where you would want to keep it private, because it is not harming anybody else and it is your personal domain. But in 2008 and 12, it wasn't even declared कि ये सब personal domain है या फिर इसमें आपको privacy मिलेगी. फिर भी law commission ने बोला था कि ये सब चीजें procedurally and for the intent of this act are not helping the case, and we should amend them. But all of these recommendations are still pending. The Marriage Act is same as it was in 1954, which is also an objection that many people brought to the court. They said that how can we sustain this act, which is in fact from 1800s. It was made by the Britishers, and it reflects the tendencies of marriage that they have in today's time in India. There should be some amendments. There should be contextual amendments relating to the problems of marriage in India, but it hasn't been amended or changed at all. Then the court went on to divide the issues under different headings, and those are the headings that I've also put. So the first heading is factually correlated to this case, which is that everybody has the freedom to marry whoever they decide to. But how do we know that? Act में तो नहीं लिखा है ऐसा. We know that through the different cases which has happened over the years, and then the court went on to revise some of the cases which are important for us. Right now, in this case, we will again talk about the golden triangle. Golden triangle is basically reading Article 14, 19, and 21 of the Constitution in overlapping manner. So, in R.C. Cooper versus Union of India, many moons ago, the court said that Article 14, 19, and 21 are not supposed to be read individually when it comes to the human right matters or when it comes to fundamental right ka protection. They all inform each other. What does it mean when I say they inform each other? Do they talk to each other? No, they don't. So the point is that whatever it falls under Article 14, when you are talking about Article 19, before going into the freedoms that Article 19 promises, you have to also check it against the parameters of Article 14. And the same goes for Article 21. If under Article 21 you are promised a fundamental right of freedom of life or freedom of life with dignity, protection of life, it should also be non-arbitrary, which is a rule which falls under Article 14, and it should also have a freedom of choice or expression, which is under 19. So all of these three form the golden triangle of rights, fundamental right protection or human right protection in India. Right? So we will talk about this through the next cases, and the court says it also ki all these three articles are informing each other, and when you read all of them together, you get a picture which the Special Marriage Act also has to abide by, right? So the sabse pehla thing ki Safia, whether she has the right to go live with her husband or not, whether she has the freedom to marry whoever she wants and convert her religion and go live with him or not, even though she is a major and she really can. We already know this already. So the court said that through these following cases, which are Lata Singh versus State of UP, the cases that I've listed here, they are really small cases, and they've almost said the same thing, that a woman especially, because none of these cases are in relation to a man. A woman has the right to marry whoever she wants if she is 18 years old and she has free will. एक कोई उसको coerce करके या fraud करा के कराएगा, then maybe there are chances or cases where the court can annul a marriage. But if she is an 18-year-old girl, an 18-year-old woman who has decided to get married out of her own free will, nobody, not even state or court, can annul her marriage as long as she decides that she wants to be in this marriage. And the court goes on to outline the following cases, which all I've listed here, but I will also talk about them thoda, so that not all of them, at least 3-4, which are the important ones. So the first case, which is Lata Singh versus State of UP, जो कि यहाँ पर है, Lata Singh versus State of UP, it came in 2006. So in this case, the court talked about the fact how caste system is a problematic factor of our society, and intercaste marriages are difficult to what is the word? They are very difficult to complete. Like उनके procedure में ही लोग अटक जाते हैं. खप panchayats or any social institutions decide that, oh no, this is not the right thing to do, and they don't allow them to do it, and they are more powerful than one individual, and they put pressure on them, or they force them, they murder them. In fact, there are many cases in which a khap panchayat has murdered the couple instead of letting that intercaste marriage happen, letting that intercaste marriage exist, even though by the matter of existence of the marriage, it is not affecting the panchayat or the community itself, right? So in Lata Singh, the court said that this is a democracy, and the democracy's basic elements are protection of an individual, protection of an individual's rights, and the protection of a person's right to marry whoever they want to. And the court said that the police and the courts are the sentinels or the guardians of this right, and they have to make sure that this is being protected, that these social institutions are not infringing on individuals' rights in a democracy that is India. Then again, in the second case, which happened in 2011, which is Indian woman says gang rape on orders of village court, published in Business Financial News, dated. The INRI cases are where the court decided that it should give an opinion on this matter of public. It was not brought to them. There were no parties that were conflicted. The court itself picked up this problem and delivered the decree on the case. The court in this case said that freedom of choice is a right protected under Article 21. Freedom of choice to marry somebody. So the right to marry is protected under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Then the next important case is Vikas Yadav versus State of UP, which I have written in the end, right? This is a 2016 case, very recent, which is very amazing. The court said that these people, the fathers, their brothers of women, or these communities say they are protecting the woman's honor, and they are protecting her respect by not letting her get married to somebody of another caste. So the court said that honor of a woman is situated in the fact that she has the choice to make her own decisions, or she has the choice to choose what is her own identity, and she has the freedom of that choice, whether it is wrong or not, whether she falls into a problematic situation or not. The honor of a woman is situated in these things. And saying कि नहीं हम इस लड़की का honor protect कर रहे हैं, these are excuses with which the parents or the community of the woman imposes their own will, their own force, and that is the crime that is being committed, not the fact that she is marrying somebody else. So it was a very beautifully delivered judgment where the court like twisted the meaning of कि honor क्या है भाई एक औरत का, आप क्या करने जा रहे हो, क्या कर रहे हो. And so basically in this case also they said that the right to marry is situated with a woman's fundamental right under Article 21. Then there were many more cases, but one of the more important cases is which the court dealt with in a more elaborate manner is Shakti Vaini versus Union of India, which is a 2018 case, which in itself is an important case, and you might have read it in your preparations. So under this case also, the court said that the right to marry is related to the dignity of a person, which is protected under Article 21. And it said that even though the rights which we have, like our rights given under Part 3 of the Constitution of India, are not unlimited rights. कि मेरे को मैं कुछ भी कर लूं, ऐसा नहीं है. The rights are given and the limitations are given under after every right. Like 19 clause 2 में 19 का limitations दिया हुआ है, and even the rights provided under Article 21 are restricted by say safety of India, security of the country, and all of these. There are many limitations, but these limitations does not mean that the right itself shouldn't be protected in the first place. So the court said that the right to express one's own choice is obstructed. It would be extremely difficult to think of dignity in its sanctioned completeness, which means that when two people decide to marry by their own free will and they consummate their marriage and they decide to live together, it can unequivocally be stated that they have the right, and any infringement of the said right is the constitutional violation. Matlab, if these people are deciding to get married, and if you say that, oh no, this is the crime, then the fact that you are saying this is a crime is the violation of the constitution, not the fact that they decided to get married. Now, how is it related to our case? You'll remember that the case began with the fact that one woman decided to convert her religion and get married to a man, and she wasn't allowed to go live with him because her father decided that she does not have the capacity or the agency to even decide to marry somebody and then eventually start to live with them. This was an important case which established कि हर औरत के पास जो कि 18 साल से ऊपर है, she has the right to decide who she wants to marry and marry him and live with him, and nobody, not even the state, can infringe that right. Which happened in the other case, which is important, that is Shafeen Jan versus Ashok Kumar, which is popularly known as the Hadia case, where the court, the High Court itself, annulled the marriage of the girl, which is Shafeen Jan, who married Hadia. And the Supreme Court lost its marbles. He said, the Supreme Court said that how can High Court declare such, give such a decision on something like this? Ki the authority which is supposed to protect the right of marriage or supposed to protect many other rights is the one that is infringing that right. So this became a famous case again because the Supreme Court reprimanded the High Court very publicly. It said that the state is supposed to be the first authority that protects the rights of the people which are enshrined in the Constitution. And if the state itself is becoming something which is creating these problems, then how will the people ever be able to protect themselves against the infractions that other people commit against them? Ki the authority which is supposed to adjudicate whether another person has committed a crime against me itself is saying itself is committing a crime, that really defeats the purpose of having a judiciary itself. And the court said that the state or the court is supposed to follow the morality of the Constitution or the morality of the acts. Now, here these two terms, constitutional morality and societal morality, came up. The constitutional morality is basically the freedoms and rights and ye sabka collection, which is written after deliberation, right? Or is written in the laws. And the societal morality is basically what we practice. Now, sometimes the societal morality can be wrong, which it was in this case, where they tried to stop the girl from choosing the person that she wanted to marry and go live with him. But the Constitution doesn't say that. The Constitution protects the freedom of choice, and the acts also protect the freedom of choice to marry. So there was a difference, there was a clash, and the High Court decided to side with the social morality because it said that ये intercaste marriage ठीक नहीं है, इसको तोड़ देना चाहिए. Then the court annulled the marriage. But the Supreme Court said that the courts have to follow the constitutional morality, which in the case of marriage says that a major woman above 18 years of age, free will, can marry anybody she wants. And this was basically given in Shafeen Jan case. How is it related to how are these two cases related to our case is very easy to see, right? क्योंकि हमारे केस में भी एक लड़की को शादी करने के बाद जाने नहीं दिया जा रहा था. So these two cases are directly connected to the right to marry whoever you want to marry. Now, the other cases that we will read from now on are not directly connected. They are in consonance with the matter that we are talking about in this case, but they talk about something above the case. They talk about a narrative that that has to be followed while interpretation of the Special Marriage Act. So when the matter came to interpret those sections that we talked about in the beginning, which are section 4, 5, 6, 7, which talk about the fact that publication zaruri hona chahiye, should it be mandatory or not, or it should be left to the option of the marriage officer or the people. So likha to hua hai in the section that it should be mandatory. The publication shall be made. It's written in the act itself. But how should we interpret it in accordance with the changes that have come in the society since 1954? So the court talked about rules of interpretation. So whenever you are reading a law, over a period of time, sometimes the meaning changes, and sometimes it doesn't. So there are many rules which talk about how you should interpret a law. Jaise ki, so you might have read some law acts and you might have seen ki legal English is a little different from normal English. It's very precise because you have to talk about a social matter in the space of, say, a sentence or something like that. So sometimes you see ki there can be many meanings from the reading of that sentence. So how should it be interpreted and how should it be applied? So there are many ways. Two of the more famous or traditional ways is literally literature के हिसाब से interpretation, which is called golden interpretation, rule of interpretation, or a transformative interpretation where you don't literally take the meaning of the word which is given under the act. For example, अगर लिखा है कि if there is an act on, say, sale of apples is written in it, but there are many other kinds of fruits as well. So maybe like the literal interpretation would be just apples will be sold and there will be no other sale of fruits. But a more expansive interpretation would be like apples, other fruits like apples can also be sold under the procedures of the act, which here literally only talks about apples. So the court talked about whether we should use a more transformative aspect of interpretation instead of just reading the word shall, which is given under the act. So the court spoke about this, key changes in the law are sometimes pushed by the changes in the society. And then it talked about a lot of cases where it has said that any act which doesn't match the reality of the society can be read a little differently. It can be interpreted a little differently, and